Ted, do you believe you have a soul?
What did you think I would do at this moment when you're standing before me with tears in your eyes? That answer your question?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fanzone Debate. We got a fun match for you tonight. We got Mr. Tyler Burch. He's going up against Mr. Jordan Owens. Looking forward to this. Tyler, I think we can say, well, yeah, no, I'd like to say it, a mainstay now in debate. He's very good at trivia, but I think he's improved a lot in debate. I think he's doing well. And on the other side of things, we got Jordan. Just coming off a big win in his first match against Mr. Jeremy Potter's great debut match and great showing from Jordan. So I'm looking forward to this. We got Kirk here live from Animal Kingdom. Kirk, how are you doing? And are you excited about this one?
I'm doing good. It's been a long, cold winter, but we made it through. We're back out on the deck, ready to party. I'm excited for this matchup. Got Spence. I don't want to jump the gun, but Spence debuted as a judge. Somebody who's really come to love and appreciate this game. So I'm excited to see them as a judge here. But no, JPO last match, I got to judge that one. Really kind of planted his flag, made a statement. And Tyler, like you said, has really just become like a really like strong, consistent player. A clash of styles, I would say, clash of personalities. Yeah. I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And yes, Kirk didn't really allude to it. He said it. Adelaide is here for their debut as a judge. Adelaide, thanks for jumping in. Thanks for taking the leap. We appreciate you. And what do you think about this match, Tyler and Jordan? Do you agree with Kirk? Are the styles going to be clashing today?
Yes and no. I think that these are two people who have, on any given day, either nothing in common or are on the exact same wavelength. And I think that's probably going to come up in the debates tonight, where they're like, yeah, God, that was almost my pick. Or like, you are literally fucking crazy. I don't know what you're trying to even convince us of. You're wrong. I do come bearing gifts, though, for Kirk for Animal Kingdom. I hope you have a good dinosaur nugget exhibit. This needs a place. Tim, I got you a dinosaur nugget. I think you'd also enjoy that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Let's get into it. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to bring in the players. The players drafted some categories. We gave them some questions. Based on those categories, they're going to debate those questions tonight before our very souls. So each player will get a 1-minute opening, followed by a 5-minute freeform, followed by a 1-minute closing at the end of the debate. Adelaide, Kirk, and I will write on our boards who we thought won the debate. 2 out of 3 votes will win you a point. First player to 3 points will win the match. Jordan, Tyler, any questions? Anything you want to say to each other real quick?
My best friend from 5th grade and 9th grade, his name was Tyler, and no one's seen him since. Just joking. He's actually living a great life with like wife and kids, way better than I am.
Okay,
good
great.
luck, Jordan.
All right, let's do it. All right, we are going to kick this one off with the category of horror. This was drafted by Tyler. It's a thing I kind of love, but not really. The question is, what is the best action scene in a Resident Evil film? Love the games. The movies are weird. Tyler, you're going to kick this one off because you drafted it. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
Okay, so we have a zombie outbreak. Raccoon City is in tatters. Everybody's just trying to survive. No one can even do anything against these zombies. They're all getting eaten. It's all going terrible. What we really need is to be reminded that people can kill these zombies and they can do it with style. And we get that with the Resident Evil Apocalypse church scene where Alice kills the 3 lickers. This scene is really important because it not only shows us how powerful Alice has become after spending the first movie kind of just running away from everything, but also she does it in creative ways. It's not just I'm going to punch things or I'm going to shoot things. She also drives a motorcycle through a stained glass window and then uses that, shoots that to explode the liquor. She drops a cross on another one and traps it and shoots it, showing how clever she is. Everything she does just shows how much of a badass she has become, and that is further highlighted by the fact that our characters that we've been sitting with this entire time, Jill and her two compatriots, they are about to be out of ammo. They're cornered. They have nothing to do. Somebody's already got Ian, and then Alice comes in and changes the game.
Time. All right, let's move over to JPO. Jordan, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So I'm not necessarily enamored by these movies here, but you asked the question. I'm going to answer the question here. I immediately went to the laser trap scene from the first movie here, but then I did my research and I was like, "Whoa, hold on! That's the first thing that my mind goes to when I think of Resident Evil. Maybe there's something else." Then after a long research, I realized no, I was right the first time. It's easily the laser trap scene. This is a scene that is almost simple, but in the best sense of ways, because it is a one-piece motion with characters that you just got to know, and including Callan Salomon's character, who you think is going to maybe be kind of like the hero and the good guy and the protector, and it's done in a very unique way. It makes you feel like you're in a video game, but not in like a Doom, House of the Dead sense, where it's like, get it? It's a video game, and we're doing video game things. It feels like it's come to life, and you're actually in there, and you're actually on the edge of your seat, figuring out like what's going on with these lasers, seeing who's going to survive, if anyone is going to survive, and you're very much enhancing the scene from beginning to end. And I love you.
All right, gentlemen. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking. I will throw up the 1 minute warning when the time comes. If you're talking too much, not letting your opponent talk, I'm going to throw up the let your opponent talk. Don't make me do that.
It's going to happen. I apologize.
Jordan, makes me sad. Don't do it. All right.
I don't mean to.
5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
Real quick, you mentioned Jill and her compatriots. So who were they again? Because God, did I forget?
You're really going to ask me that after you have Soldier A through E in your scene? We don't know their names.
Mine's a setup where like it's very much the action of it is the inquisitive of the actual scene itself. Yours is the only reason you might care about your scene, which I think was very generic, is because of the characters, which you lack of. So you like both things in your scene, where I didn't really care for the characters nor the scene. At least mine has a very unique setup here that people still think about. Even if you don't like the movies, people still like this scene. I had to figure out which scene you even meant. I had to be like, what church? I think they were in a church at one point. Is that with the big guy? Oh, no, that's
research. I'm proud of you. So your scene, there isn't a whole lot of action to it. You spend this whole time looking at this laser. It chops people in half. That's not much. That's not action. Yeah. That's just, you even laugh when the guy gets cut in half because he just tries to do a little hop and he thinks that's going to work. These characters that you...
What would you do if you were trapped in the scene? You'd be trying to hop and try to live.
Okay, cool. Not action. So the thing about like with your characters too is that they try to do a Predator thing where you care about this team because they're badasses, but they're not. You don't know anything about them. They don't matter. You, as soon as they get chopped up,
your characters are super underdeveloped too. Again, you still haven't told me what your characters' names are. You literally said it's a Jill and compatriots. I as a fan of mostly just not a fan, but a watcher of just the movies, I don't even care about Jill. Cool, she looks like the character. You know very little about her. You have cool little ex machina Alice finally coming in, doing a scene you've seen in 12 other action movies like Police Story, Through the Window, as you mentioned. Like we've seen it. We've seen it done before, even after watching it. I was like, this feels like a scene that I've seen in 7 other movies here.
Okay, well, the reason why is because this shows what Alice is able to do. This is supposed to show that the abilities that she now has, what she's capable of. You keep talking about these characters' names. That's not related to the action. They're there to be trapped.
Oh, let's just because I only bring that up because
danger. Jordan, let Tyler finish his.
Yeah, that's why I backed off. I got you.
You realize that they're in danger. You don't know how they're going to get out. These liquors that were one liquor devastated in the previous movie, and now we have 3 of them. How are they going to get out? And then Alice comes in and she takes care of them. She takes care of them in unique ways that are memorable, blowing them up with the motorcycle, dropping the cross on them and shooting them. Those are very memorable scenes. That's memorable action. The umbrella, even the way they shoot it with the bullets, and then you see the umbrella symbols on the back of them. Like, this is stuff that is very stylized. It's got the rule of cool to it. You remember that. Yours is just, they just remember that there's lasers. We've seen lasers. Lasers are nothing. This scene, there's no action. There's no tension. They just get chopped up and that's it.
Oh no, mine is very well built up in tension. Mine is it starts off you're not exactly sure what's going on. First character, there's a great reveal of her head slowly falling off. Even the other character, well, even the first thing you see the guy's fingers, you're sort of like okay. And then the reveal of the woman here. You do care about the main guy, Callan Solomon John one, and the way it's built up here. Yours is one that's bad CGI, so that takes me and most people out of the scene right then and there because again, you're not really vibing with it here. The CGI that's used in the first movie is just very smart and cater towards the actual scene itself here. I just feel like again, mine is something that people still talk about. It was so good that it actually got adapted. You think it would have been in a former video game? No, they put it in a video game later because people liked it so much here.
Okay, they also made the Marvel characters look like they did in the movies. That doesn't mean anything. That's just corporate synergy. For yours, I mean, they. Anyway, for yours, yeah, it's cool that the head gets chopped off, but it doesn't really amp up the tension because all of a sudden it's just over. This scene is very quick. Yours, it doesn't really build up. They walk across and then they open the door and they're like, okay, guys, let's go. And that's it. And it's not even the whole team. Like she didn't even lure in the whole team. It's just a random bunch of people that wander in here. There's 3 times the laser comes out, they die, and then it's over. You don't even remember how many people got killed. You barely remember anything other than the fact that one guy gets chopped up into pieces, and that's it.
I would actually argue that actually works for my scene here. Yours, again, is a generic action scene that kind of goes on a little bit too long here, where the first licker is extremely hard to kill, and then the second and third aren't that hard to kill. Mine is very, like you said, you don't have much time to think. That what keeps you on the edge of your seat and engaged in this scene because you are going, okay, shit, so, okay, this laser is lethal. First girl's dead. Let's see how they can get out of it. Let's see if anyone's going to get out of it. Oh, the last guy is totally going to get out of it. It's a very great, almost Deep Blue Sea-like scene where you're like, oh, last guy's going to live. He's going to become like the hero, the saver. And then it's not. That shows that it also very much sets up the rest of the movie that like, okay, not only zombies matter and liquors or anything like that, but whatever the Eve, the main girl, the house itself and the virus will get them as well.
Never pays off.
Done. All right, let's go to Jordan first for closings. Jordan, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Oh, I'm Jordan. His scene again. It's a scene I've seen all of them. I've seen all of them at least a couple times over the course of the years, and I did truly have to like look up the scene and remember myself because again, Jill, and there's a reason she's not in some of the other movies, is a character that is fine. She looks like the character, but that's about it for her. You don't care about the other characters that are in the scene either, and it's a CGI overextended action scene. Again, you mentioned the motorcycle through the thing. We've seen that in other movies, better movies here. And cool, she kills a couple CGI monsters that you don't care about, and you're ready for the next scene. And there's even better action scenes, I think, in that movie alone, and several other scenes here. The laser scene is mine again. It's the first thing that comes to my mind and many people's minds when you think of the Resident Evil franchise as something that keeps you on the edge of your seat and engaged here. It's one of the first times to show you that there is stakes in this place that they're exploring here. It feels like a video game level, but again, not in a shoehorned in way. It feels very real, and again, trying to figure out. You don't have the time to think. It is get-go and violent and great and fun and booyah shaka. That's not a word.
All right, let's go over to Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So he keeps talking about how generic my scene is. It's not. Just because it drives to a window doesn't mean it's like every other movie. This is supposed to show that there's real danger in Raccoon City that's going beyond the zombies because we have 3 lickers. 1 licker took out an entire team last movie, so how are we going to take on 3 of them? That shows that Alice is able to be a badass. She's able to kill things that before she had to run away from. She uses her motorcycle to blow it up. That's inventive. She shoots the cross to drop on the licker because his mobility is the thing that is the most dangerous, so that way she can shoot it. Everybody else is terrified. She comes in and she lays waste to it. His is over really quickly. There's not really any tension to it because of how quick it is. Other than that one pan of the head falling off, you don't really remember anything else about it. Like I said, you laugh at the guy that tries to jump because it just cuts him in half. And even when the guy tries to hang on to the ceiling and it drops and the knife falls, there's not really anything that there's no tension there. There's nothing that you see that and you say, oh, okay, this is really cool. This is really action packed. You don't care about these characters. You don't care about what's happening. They get killed, you move on, and then the zombies show up.
Okay. All right. Let's bring in the judges. Ooh, it's gotten a little darker over by Kirk.
Yep.
Ooh.
How long were we debating?
It's been 10 minutes and it changed multiple scenes already.
I think it's Friday.
All right. Adelaide looks ready. Kirk, you ready? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Resident Evil. Yeah, these movies aren't great. And I don't even really remember either scene, frankly. So I was good. I've seen these movies a lot.
Trying to pick one was awful because then you made me realize you really come to terms with the fact that there's not that many good action scenes in these movies.
But I thought both did a good job of explaining their scenes, like why it would be an interesting watch. And honestly, I feel like Tyler has a lot of knowledge in this franchise, and he used that to his advantage. Because he had a scene that it sounded to me like Jordan did a good job of saying like it was boring or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I thought Tyler was able to overcome that quite a bit based on just his knowledge of the universe and of the scene and kind of both scenes and being able to kind of tear down a lot of Jordan's argument. That being said, I thought Jordan had the more exciting sounding scene on paper, but like I said, I thought Tyler did a good job of kind of explaining why maybe it was more anticlimactic and less exciting than we were led to believe. So I went with Tyler, though I thought that both did okay at the fight. It was nothing super extraordinary this time around, but I thought that Tyler etched it out for me. So Kirk, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm familiar with both these scenes because I had to watch all these movies last year because Tyler put this category of Blockbuster Brawl, and I should vote against him.
I don't know who that is.
Just for that. Feel free. But no, I think like you alluded to, kind of Tim, they kind of came at this from two different angles and just two different interpretations of what makes the best action scene. And I think they both did a really good job of focusing on it. But I did also go with Tyler because I do feel like that JPO, if this would have been best just overall scene in a movie and what it does, what it achieves and accomplishes in the movie itself, I think Tyler did a better job of explaining that. But I'm sorry, JPO did a better job of that. But I think Tyler just really eked out on this, just honed it on the action and why the action was better to see.
Okay, Adelaide, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone and why?
This is a great start to my career. I actually voted for Jordan. The lighting's terrible. I think to me, it really came down to the fact that a lot of Tyler's time to me felt like one of my biggest pet peeves in debate, which is arguing that Jordan's pick shouldn't be eligible. A lot of time spent about calling it not an action scene, just really kind of lost a lot of headway. And I think he had an amazing hook for me about the idea of like the rule of cool and describing these really interesting action set pieces within his overall scene. But it didn't feel as developed, where I think Jordan had a lot of good there with talking about like, oh, the supposed lead of the movie just suddenly dies during the middle of his scene. And I think that's a really good hook, even though both have like boring characters. To me, that set up stakes, and I think that's what meant a lot more to me in this argument. Both, I think, were playing a lot more aggressive towards the other person, and I think Jordan was more effective about reducing the shots taken towards his scene.
Fair enough. All right, great. All right, well, Tyler's up 1-0. So we will need to move on to the next question in the category of directors. The question is, which scene in a Kevin Smith film has the best acting? We're going to start with Jordan on this. Jordan, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Yes, love me some K. Smitty here. So there's a few good things you could go with here. But again, kind of went with my gut, gave it some thought, and again, went back to the one that my heart was going with. And that is the jail scene, kind of at the climax of Clerks 2 here. So a lot has gone down. Friendship, different love of partners, and then ultimately a donkey show. But yet somehow you wrap all that up into what I think is a great scene that is also really a great kind of actor's accomplishment here, because you do have a little bit of everything in this scene here. You got some really like legitimately big laughs, as well as some of the best acting I think in any View Askew or even Kevin Smith film in general here. Jeff Anderson is, I think, absolutely kills it. Like when he's choking up, you're somehow choking up in a Clerks movie yourself, and I think that's a great feat here. I think Kevin Smith, this might have been his peak, not only writing but also direction style too. Like this is the well shot, well acted scene between two best friends that, well, at least you believe they're best friends from the scene.
Okay, we're gonna move over to Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So when it comes to acting in a Kevin Smith movie, I would believe that the later it is, the better it is. So what I chose was Dante's rant in Clerks 3. So to set the scene, they're shooting a scene from Clerks, and Jeff Anderson is just going, Randall just going on, and he's just going through the lines, and you see Dante, Brian O'Halloran, just become more and more frustrated until he erupts. And then when he erupts, everything comes out. This isn't like the normal arguments they had in the first one or the second one. This one is real. This one is emotional. This one, you see him go through all these different ranges of emotion. He has a touch of madness when he's yelling at Jeff Anderson about his heart attack. You can feel the sadness when he talks about the death of his wife and his unborn child in that drunk driving accident. So much so that even the bystanders, who aren't us, are so touched that they don't want to shoot the scene anymore because of how much emotion there is, because how real it is. And you even see Jeff Anderson on the other side, his face and the acting that he does as
Okay. All right. We are going to go into the 5-minute freeform. 1 minute or 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
So for your scene, for me, I watched the scene. It doesn't really feel any different than their other arguments that they had. All the emotions still feel pretty shallow. They have a long discussion about what they should do with their lives, which they've had multiple times. Even Jay and Silent Bob, there's not really anything that's different about the acting and on their sides. So I'm not 100% sure how this is the best acted.
No, I think everything your scene has. I think your scene's a really good scene. I think it's a Dante showcase, but at the same time, I feel like everything your scene has, mine scene does have, and then like in drones though, like because you have more than Dante is pretty much the very yelly, like just why has my life come to this, and you believe him, and it's great. But then my scene also has the same thing of them figuring out this turning point in their lives here. And Jeff Anderson, I think, truly does give one of the best performances. The best performance out of any Clerks, because you believe him when he's looking at him after what Dante says. And it takes him aback. This is no longer the smart alecky walk on the counter Randall. This is a guy who truly just felt his heart broke by his best friend. Like that's what you thought this has been the whole time. Like I thought you'd take a bullet for me, and I would do the same for you. Like this is really a big climax of a movie here, to where it really takes like a stark turn, and you're really invested. While yours also too, I think, is kind of a weird pivot from really kind of nonstop comedy to this kind of like really dark scene too.
No, I think Clerks 3 is the most emotional movie. And you talk about Jeff Anderson and your scene and how great he was in that. I think that in Clerks 3, he had better scenes where he had more emotion. Yours, like I said, it just kind of feels like it just scratches the surface. There's a little bit of acting there, but the performances don't really stand out. With what I like about mine is that it elevates those performances that we've seen so many times, because if you think about what you know about Clerks, you think about Dante's rants. He goes on and on and on. So you want to say, okay, what's different about this one? The difference is just the range of emotion that he sees, the manic way that he's moving his arms, his whole performance from Brian O'Halloran. Like you can just see how 30 years of regret have built up into him until he erupted. And it to the point where it goes, and he says, I'm not even supposed to be, he does this iconic line, and then he passes out because he had his heart attack. And everybody thought it was just a joke too. I think that's what's interesting about it, is that the people that were not a part of the situation, they think that this is all just a joke, and they clap along. And you see Jeff Anderson's face as he starts to realize that Dante isn't faking it, that he actually is in trouble and he needs to call 911. There's a lot of really great acting in this. It's not just a rant and the words that Dante's using, but it's also how everybody else is reacting.
It's weird because I feel like, again, your scene is very much piggybacking off of my scene. I feel like everything you're saying, my scene does have, but then more so. Like your scene is very much Dante focused here. Mine is a great back and forth between two friends who, again, like you said, for Dante, are coming from this regret. You know, they're again, it's a few years later, but this is again a turning point in their lives at this point in their lives here, when he thinks he's lost everything, you know, Rosario and everyone here, and then even the friendship is falling apart here. Yours is again more about like the wife and the kid, but this is again a really great back and forth between two best friends here. And I do think Jeff Anderson is absolutely giving his best performance in this particular scene here. Even Kevin Smith has said this is his favorite movie that he's ever done. Clerks 2, I think it is one of the best written screenplays that he's ever done too. Clerks 3, even in this scene, I just feel like it's kind of Kevin Smith just being Kevin Smith, and it's a one note kind of yelly, wide performance, and it's good in that tone. But mine has that, and then so many more elements around it.
No, there's not just one tone. Like I said, you see sadness, you see madness, you see him yelling at Jeff Anderson because this story is his story. He wants to remind him his plea. You can just feel the emotion that's coming from him. You can feel you can see exactly what his mindset is, how it all led to this. I bet you if somebody watched that Clerks 3 scene and they didn't even know what was going on, they would still be touched because of what Brian O'Halloran brings to that performance. For your scene, like you have the guy that's just kind of like, oh, this is a donkey show. This is what happens. I miss my donkey. Ha ha ha. And it feels very odd to do that and then lead into, I don't think we should be friends anymore. What are we doing with our lives? And it just feels it sets a really weird tone. And we get a little bit of, for some reason, Jay and Silent Bob feel they need to interject and they need to have their argument. And it just, everything feels really tacked on. So you can't even focus, at least with mine, you're just focused on just the Dante rant and his reaction, Jeff Anderson's reaction to it.
I think that adds to my scene because again, there's a small amounts of like brevity from the side characters. I think the donkey scene's very donkey line from that one guy is very well delivered. But again, it is a great back and forth that does have way more levels. Again, I asked you and you said sadness, madness. Mine has sadness, madness, laughter. It has such a more wavelength.
Okay, we are going to start closings with Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So he keeps trying to say that my scene is just an imitation of his. It's not. It goes further. It goes so much deeper. His is shallow. They kind of just have this. There's no great revelation from them. There's no big catharsis. For the Dante heart attack scene, you can see how Dante's rant, how it weighs on him, the emotions he has, how that in fact impacts Jeff Anderson. You literally see his face go through all these range of emotions as he hears it because he thinks it's a joke at first and then it's not. You see how Dante is going through real pain he hasn't really confronted before, and he doesn't feel like his friend is really paying attention to him, and he wants to make it all about himself, calling out Jeff Anderson, Randall on how selfish he is because he has lost everything, and he's just being reminded of that loss because of this event, because of the shooting this film. And even to the point where the bystanders, like Jay and Silent Bob, they're nodding their head. They put down the camera because they want this scene to breathe because it's such a powerful performance. It's not about what's being put on film. It's about what we're all feeling.
Okay. We're going to move over to Jordan. Jordan, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
You mentioned before about kind of like our scenes in a bottle, if you will. Again, I feel like you throw somebody, if you actually do show somebody your scene, I think they are going to be a little bit like confused. Like, oh, what's there? Something about a wife and a kid. Like, I don't really know what happened here. You showed someone my scene here, literally showed them just this scene. They're going to explain to you about how these are two best friends, and the other one, you know, has maybe done some wacky things, but he still loves his best friend. Randall still loves Dante, and he is surprised, shocked, literally choked up when, you know, he feels like for a moment there that Dante doesn't care about him anymore here. This is a friendship reaching a climax that has been years in the making, something that Dante has held back up until this point here. And you really do feel it here. And that's what is a very funny movie. All of a sudden, the real climax of this friendship falling apart here, and the levels they go through as well. This is an actor showcase of starting out kind of like, oh, well, then mad, and then going up to this level instead of just yours, which is one level, just why. Mine is why, sadness, happiness, encapsulates everything in one moment and really sets things off.
Okay. Bringing the judges.
Oh my God, now it's almost dark.
Almost.
Every time we come
together. By the last question, we're just going to see glasses.
The screen reflecting in the glass. That's right. All right. All right. Adelaide. Well, actually, Kirk, are you ready? You're muted, but I'm guessing you said yes by the capping. Okay, Adelaide, go ahead whenever you're ready.
I'll just open with, I don't think this was particularly close. I think it's more of I think it's more about how I look for debate, what I'm looking for my answers. And to me, I think Tyler absolutely killed this. I need to move closer. This is not working at all.
No, I can see
I
it.
think that what Tyler was able to do was, I think, two big things. Because as someone who has no familiarity with either of these movies, I think giving very specific examples of exact emotions being portrayed by Dante. Pretty sure it's Dante. I wrote it down and I erased it. And between like the emotive, like the line delivery, and to the physical acting of the manic arms, like really stood out to me. As well as I think the idea of like, we're not arguing about the scene, but the effect that Dante has on the camera crew, on Jay and Silent Bob, around people around them. The fact that that emotion works for both the audience and people in the scene, kind of like immerses you more, and I think sells me overall on how good the performance is. Jordan, I think, was arguing well, but I think every time that he gave something, I think Tyler gave a better example about why it worked. So I think Tyler just absolutely nailed this.
I'm not as emphatic as Spence, but yeah, I went with Tyler as well. And I felt like I agree with most of what Spence was saying. I'm just not as like about it. I also have not seen a single Clerks film. Look at me go.
I won't be here.
Kevin, not my favorite. But I was going based off what they're talking about. I know who Jay and Silent Bob. That's about it. And so I really liked Jordan's opening and talking about the scene and why the performances were so good. And that's what I was trying to hear. Was this question was about the acting? What is the best acting? And I thought Jordan did a good job of saying like the central relationship there. How he said, like, if you watch the scene, you don't know anything about the movie, like you would pick up on that. But I felt like then, like Spence said, Tyler doubled down on that and saying like how in his scene that yeah, like you could watch it in a bottle and just get caught up in the emotions of it all because the performances were so good. And the reason I say I'm not as emphatic as Spence on this one is I feel like both talked a lot more about the quality of the scene and the impact on the characters and what it does for the characters and all that stuff. But I think I got just a little bit more from Tyler on the overall performances. Like Spence said, like talking about the arms flailing and like all that type of stuff. So I went with Tyler. Kirk, your vote doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got this match on hard mode, Tim. They had to find good action in Resident Evil, and now they're going to find good acting in the Kevin Smith movie. You're not going to be easy on these guys. But
My hair's turning gray from this.
But no, I also went with Tyler. I do think it's hard. Best acting in the scene is always tough because it's very easy, and it happened. It happens to the best of us to get caught up in a lot of other things that aren't acting in the scene. Script and story and tone and all these different things that don't really impact the actual question. And I feel like they both did a good job of plucking out little nuggets. But I'm on the same page with Spence, where I think Tyler, again, me having never seen it out of these movies either, I think Tyler gave me a better idea of the acting that was in the movie and what the acting looked like. And one of my favorite things was how Tyler talked about how it wasn't just the acting, it was the reacting from everybody else. And I think he just painted a better picture of what acting was going on in his scene. And I don't know if that might not be fair to JPO because he painted a better picture, that doesn't mean it's better. But you listen to Spence explain it, it's almost like Spence had seen the scene because of what Tyler was able to communicate. So I think that's just what put him over the top in this one.
All right. Well, Tyler is up 2-0, so that means that JPO needs to hit this next question in order to stay in the game. Sorry. The category is mystery thriller. The question is, other than Benoit Blanc, who is the best character in a Knives Out film? We're going to start with Tyler on this one. Tyler, you get to go first. You have 1 minute when you start.
So for me, the best character other than Benoit Blanc is Marta Cabrera in Knives Out. The main character, I love that she is a little bit clever. She's a little bit clumsy. She's a whole lot of good. She's somebody that is constantly trying to do the right thing, but also warring with herself on the fact that she is trying to get out of this situation because she's been put into a rock and a hard place. Somebody that has a lot of relationships with everybody where they act like they're nice to her, but on the behind her back, they talk negatively about her. But she doesn't let that get her down. Somebody who has a great relationship with Harlan, and also gets to. She has a lot of also funny moments when she's throwing the lattice, when she's playing Go and she wants to do drugs, things like that. Somebody that just brings a lot to the table. Somebody who's not able to, she's not able to throw up, so she has to be honest and figure out how to not be honest. And also somebody who really understands what it means to become your own person throughout the course of this movie.
Time. Okay, let's go over to Jordan. Jordan, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Yeah, for my pick, I went with Josh O'Connor as Judd from the last one, Wake Up a Dead Man here. He is the priest, and again, another one that kind of like his pick too, kind of the main character even of this movie, even in my movie, I think in a weird way more than even Benoit Blanc, but that ends up being something you're not mad at, because this is a great complex character here who you're kind of constantly figuring out throughout this movie here. And I think another really cool take on this character is you're also even kind of wondering if he's guilty, which is I think a really interesting moment here, and figuring out exactly not only the core mystery of this current Knives Out tale, but figuring out this character here who, you slowly get revelations of the world that he's in, of where he's at in the world rather, and his history, what he's done, maybe a violent past, and trying to be better. Or is he trying to be better? I hadn't seen much Josh O'Connor up to this point, but boy, I think he absolutely stole the show and made me want to see more of this character, that actor, and everything in between.
Time. Sidebar, watch Challengers, please. I beg of you. Okay. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
Yeah, so the thing about Judd, and you're right, there are a lot of similarities between ours. He's overshadowed by the people that are in his movie. The Monsignor overshadows him while he's still alive, and then Benoit Blanc also overshadows him, and so to the point where he kind of feels like he gets pushed out of the movie more than we've seen in the past with Marta. Marta, she is undoubtedly the main character. Benoit Blanc is just there; he's kind of that rogue element. But in this one, Judd is he's almost brought down a little bit by the fact that he is so stuck to Monsignor and to Benoit Blanc.
I think that's kind of crazy to say my character gets overshadowed here. I easily walked away remembering Josh O'Connor. Like, I'm not thinking about Jeremy Piven or the author here. I think he really is kind of the main character that is the most juicy character in this, way more than even like Close, good performance, but you don't know much about the character. I think Marta, and I'm not just saying this just to do the debate flip-flop thing, I think she is truly overshadowed by these other more interesting characters. At times she's kind of the straight woman. She's kind of the, the person you gravitate to because you're kind of like in her shoes. But again, the straight woman compared to the really great Michael Shannon and Jamie Lee Curtis and Don Johnson, all who are given these kind of more unique, interesting characters here. And, and even Chris Evans, who kind of steals the show. Eat shit. Not you. I love you. But I'm saying that was his catchphrase. I think she's fun, and she's really like, well, maybe my favorite on a performance, but I think there's so much more going on around her. Well, Josh O'Connor, he is the main character, like even more than Benoit. Like I said, and I'm cool with that.
So for Marta, the whole point is the fact that she's overshadowed by these characters because she's meant to be on the sidelines because of her family background. She's a nurse. She's an outsider. They purposely do that. Or the entire movie is her coming to terms with the fact that she can be the main character, that she can step up. She starts out being really timid and then doing things like when Michael Shannon's character says, if you take care of us, we'll take care of you. And she says, well, if I have the money, then I could just do what you said. A moment of defiance that would not have been imaginable an hour before that. For Judd, first off, the characters I mentioned were not the characters that you were talking about. And even if we're talking about the characters with the author, the doctor, everybody else, he's such an outsider that there's no impact on those characters. Those characters are actually damaged by the fact that he doesn't really, there's no relationship there. He doesn't change anything about them. If I'm going to be honest with you, Judd, you could take out the entire movie and it would still happen because everything is happening around him. He's just being dragged along. He acts like he's this strong person, but in reality, every single thing that happens, he doesn't take a stand. And even if he takes a stand, he immediately changes his mind, like trying to turn himself in. He doesn't fight it that hard that Benoit doesn't want him to turn himself in.
You say there's no connection or anything, but that's again not a bad thing, because again that's what's interesting about this character is he is the outsider. He is trying to figure out these people and maybe save them if he can, but he doesn't even know if he can save himself. He's a very complex, unique character that we're constantly figuring out. While your character does have character changes in the sense of like you said, she gets a little more stoic and on her own feet and whatnot towards the end, and you're cool with that and you're down for that. So like you kind of see it coming because that's just how a movie works. You know what you're going to see with that character, that she's going to finally become a little more self-serving. Well, my character, you're constantly figuring out, is way more complex, interesting. You think he's the villain at one point. You're way more shoehorned in on this character, and did he do the killing on purpose and whatnot and everything here. And again, I think Marta, sorry, I had to look it up, not in a mean way, but yeah, I think we've seen that before here, and then everyone kind of overshadows her around her.
Right, but those relationships are also the core of the movie, that Thrombey family and how she fits into it, and how her relationship with Harlan is really the emotional crux of this movie, is what gets it going. I love the interaction that she has with them, and she's enhanced by the chemistry that she has with everybody else. Judd has no chemistry with anybody else. He's just angry. Like, everybody's just angry with him. And he's just like, well, geez, guys, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to do the right thing. He starts out with, hey, guys, we need to open up our arms. He ends up with the movie with, hey, guys, we need to open up our arms. There's no like real emotional arc there. He actually just kind of flatlines, or maybe there's an arc where it goes down because he's angry, or then he comes back up and he's exactly like he was at the beginning. So you don't really feel anything for him. And it's not a performance that sticks in your mind because it's just so overwhelmed by Monsignor and Benoit Blanc.
Well, I mean, speaking of Brolin too, real quick too, like the one-on-one with them in the courtyard, and the couple of moments of the one-on-one between them, I think are some of the best scenes in the Knives Out movies, and it's because of those two characters and their differentiating looks on the priesthood or whatever. I think that's one of the best scenes. I think they really flow off each other really well here, to say he doesn't have a connection.
Okay. We're going to start closings with Jordan. Jordan, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Yeah, Marta's a good character that we've seen before and has a good arc. But again, you know who she is from the get-go here, and especially about 30 minutes in, when you see the reveal that she definitely isn't guilty, which is pretty early on in the movie here. You know what's going to kind of happen throughout it now, which is about her being kind of the straight woman with Blanc, who overshadows her, as well as the other side characters, figuring out who is doing it here. Mine has a more intriguing tale and a great character in Judd, who you don't ever quite figure out. Even at the end, you're still kind of wondering about this guy, because he is complex, he is torn, he has done bad things, he's trying to do good things, he's trying to work his way in with these characters that are fighting him because of Josh Brolin's character here, and the one-on-ones he has with him in the courtyard are so great, because these are two great actors and great characters. And because Brolin kind of dips after what happens with Brolin, Judd becomes the main character and really takes over this movie more than any other character in his particular movie, unlike Marta, I think.
Okay, let's go over to Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So about the confession scenes, I could easily sit there and get berated too, and that doesn't mean that it makes me a good character. It just makes I'm easy to bully. So the thing about Judd is that he's just, all we know about him is that he's prone to violence. He wants to give hugs. He goes with the flow, and if he was not in this town, everything would have happened anyway. For Marta, she's somebody that gains her own agency. She is somebody that knows exactly where she wants to be afterwards, when at the beginning she has no idea who she is. She goes through an actual arc. She outwits Ransom, who the entire time thinks that he's one step ahead of everybody. She has a lot of comedic moments where she's a little bit clumsy. And when she's trying to set it up so that way Harlan looks like he committed suicide, you can feel how much she cares about Harlan and how much she wants to do the right thing. She even is about to say that she's the killer, and giving the Thrombies what she wants. She's defiant. She has a wide range of emotions. She's defined by the Thrombies, and she defines them.
Okay. Good stuff, guys. Where are you? There you are. You were in the dark, so I couldn't see you. All right.
It is darker.
I'm telling you, we're just gonna see glasses.
I think this might be it. It's a little darker.
Darkness. All right. Adelaide looks ready. Kirk, where are you at?
I'm ready.
Okay, Kirk, we're starting with you.
Yeah, without a doubt, best debate of the night so far. I think they both totally brought it here. They were ready for this, and it made it really difficult because they both made some points that I really loved. Basically, I've seen Knives Out. I haven't seen Wake Up Dead Men, so I tried to just come in completely blind, within the fight. But so basically, my thought was, what character sounds the most interesting to me? What sounds like the best character? What's the most intriguing? And I think, and again, it was very close, but I did go with Jordan on this one because I think just he really intrigued me from the beginning, talking about how there's, and I know a little bit about the movie. I'm not completely ignorant to what happens in the film, but the fact that he was his background, his history, is he guilty, is he not, is he the villain, is he not? I think a lot of that was really strong. Tyler brought a lot of great stuff. I love the point about how how Marta kind of grows into the main character, and I think that was really interesting too. But I just got it's one of those 49-51 fights where I just felt like I got a little bit more out of Jordan, so that's the way I swung.
All right, Adelaide, where are you at?
I'll agree with Kirk. I think this is the closest fight of the night so far. I will also say it's the first time where I've actually am very familiar with both movies, which I think is interesting because I think there are both points that I wish the competitors brought up that I think could have swung me in either direction. That being said, I think a big point for me is that both of them said that the other person's character was overshadowed by being like a follower of Blanc, which is a really good point that is effectively entirely neutralized. So I have to go with what stuck the most with me, and that's Jordan, who was saying basically that I already found his fucking name. Oh my god, not Bud. What's his name? Judd. Judd. Thank you. Yeah. The fact that the audience also is kind of convinced that he's the killer, the movie is constantly developing him and redirecting the audience in a different direction about how they're interpreting him. And I think that's a really great way to argue complexity, as well as, again, I do think that what you provided, he was a far more engaging lead character. That being said, Tyler made the other great pick, so I can't be too mad.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I went JPO. I thought Tyler almost had me, and I think it kind of it's tough because, like Kirk, I have seen Wake Up Dead Man, but I saw it the day it came out, and I haven't seen it since. And I very much enjoyed it, but I've seen the first Knives Out a lot. Like, I really love that movie. And so I was kind of trying to go in Blanc, and I felt like Jordan at the end of the day, like Spence said, kind of just painted the more interesting, like, character of like Spence said, like, we don't know. There's a point where you might actually believe they're the killer. I thought that Tyler did a good job with Marta. She's a great character. She's my favorite part of the movie. But I think that Jordan did the smart move by just being like, everybody overshadows her, and named like a lot of examples of like Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, like everybody overshadows her. I don't necessarily believe that to be true, but I didn't hear much pushback on that. There was a little bit, but not enough to really sway me. So I went with Jordan as well, which means we're moving on to the final prep question, which is coming in the category of actors and actresses. Once again, Jordan, I'm so sorry. You must hit this in order to make it. Okay, the question.
Stop reminding.
Sorry. What is the best movie featuring Joseph Gordon-Levitt? We're going to start with JPO. Or JPO, as it says in his 1 minute when you start talking.
Yeah, man. Hey, speaking of Ryan Johnson, I went with Brick. One maybe the best directorial debut out there. Okay, maybe not. I'm sure we'll debate that probably, but great directorial debut nonetheless. And a really great, engaging film that was different than anything else coming out at the time, and maybe even ever. I'll even make that claim in TV because I do think this is a great mix of somehow of neo noir, teenage drama. With great performances here. This also, speaking of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was, and it's not just about his performance, but as well as many performances, but this was the first time when I was like, oh shit, the Third Rock kid is kind of killing it. And has become one of my favorite actors since here. It's again a really great script, really great direction too. I mentioned the directorial debut of Ryan Johnson, but like you wouldn't necessarily think that from watching this movie here, the way he's able to do stuff with a small budget as well, and build this crazy, unique world of this underground and what's going on with the girlfriend and drugs and the pin and just a really great, unique world that we haven't seen much before or since, really.
Time. All right, let's go over to Tyler. Tyler, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So my pick with the best movie featuring Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the movie Inception, a cleverly crafted movie where we deal with dreams. And even though it's supposed to be about dreams and it's got these cool set action pieces, which are already amazing and has fantastic music, what is at that core is emotion, that parallel journey of Dom Cobb accepting his wife's death and letting go of his guilt, as well as Robert Fisher's journey to forgiving his father for how mean he was, or how rude he was to him, and how bad that relationship was, and becoming his own man, which even though it's engineered by the people that are trying to plant this idea, at the end of the day, it was still able to create this catharsis for him, which is something that was just simply incredible. And getting to see how that plays out, not so much on the Robert Fisher journey, but just the parallel journey of Dom Cobb, getting to see the face of his children, and yet that uncertainty about, are they in a dream, are they not in a dream?
Time. All right. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
I used to love Inception. I think the first time you see the kind of concept, I think it's really great here. But at the end of the day, the concept does overshadow like the characters, and it's definitely something that does not hold up here. My concept, I think, very much serves the characters here. They handle each other. They go one-on-one with each other here. While yours, I think, is just very much, it's kind of a cool idea, and there's a little bit of play with the world, and then but that's about it at the end of the day. It's really well shot again, of course, but that's about it.
You're saying it's overshadowing the characters. It's not. Like, Dom Cobb's story is front and center. Yeah, we have shifting landscapes, we have different dream levels, but at the end of the day, what we're really looking at is the guilt over his wife's death. And even beyond Dom and Robert Fisher, we have great chemistry and relationships between Dom and Ariadne as she tries to be the Jiminy Cricket, the conscience on his shoulder, to try to take care of him, this man that she had just met. Which she has no obligation to. We also have Eames and Arthur and their relationship, where they have a little bit of, tit for tat kind of thing. And you can kind of see just that they have this friendly rivalry. There's a lot of really great relationships in this movie that they've crafted, and they do that within all these fantastic set pieces, and trying to just. And you say the concept doesn't hold up. That's not true. I just watched this movie and it still takes my breath away again about what they're able to do with it, with the different levels, with the kicks. That hallway scene with the Joseph Gordon-Levitt fight with Arthur, that scene is amazing. It's the reason why it was taken from Logan, or Logan ripped it off for their scene, is because it blows your mind that they're able to do that and how creative they're able to be with this concept.
I think there's a simple reason why I think people might go back to like the hallway scene, but I don't think a lot of people go back to this movie as a whole here. I think it has not held up over the years, especially after that first viewing, at least for a lot of people, at least for me personally here, because I think once you've kind of unwrapped kind of what they're going here, and you have that kind of ambiguous ending here, it's good, but then I don't think it even holds up for Nolan standards here. Well, I think this set a standard for Ryan Johnson for building a mystery concept here. You see kind of the buddlings of Knives Out in my movie here, and again, a great unique world here that is both realistic and also not realistic at the same time here, with great engaging characters here, dialogue moments between him and the pin, figuring out what happened to the girlfriend here, him going to the underground to figure out who's in on it, who's not in on it, his kind of cue, if you will, back at the high school. There's just a lot of really engaging moments that every time you go to see it, the dialogue holds up. Dom is one character that is fun, that's surrounded by a bunch of like cool, like kind of one-liner characters here, and like I don't remember those that the chemistry between him and those characters.
Well, on your movie, I found it to be a really alienating experience. It does not sound, when you have these students saying all this weird, witty dialogue, it doesn't come across as really smart and driven. It just seems really, it's off-putting. You don't really like it. The whole mystery thing is kind of just twisted up, and then at the end they say, oh, by the way, it was this character all along. It doesn't really get any big payoff. Everybody has all these different motivations, but they're all really weak. You don't really know what's going on, and it's overwhelming in a bad way, because you don't get what's going on. You kind of just want to tune it out, and then at the end you're just saying, oh, okay, so this person did it, I guess.
Yeah, my movie has an ending. Yours movies has questions and set pieces and doesn't have a payoff. You know what I mean? You walk away going like, oh, cool, you want to be, you're trying to be fun and unique, but like, you know, again, like I think the concepts overshadow the actual story here. Mine has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and actually has like a completion to it and an arc, and you know what happened at the end of the day, and you want to revisit these characters. Nobody's necessarily clamoring for, you know, revisiting Dom and the other ones. Maybe those set pieces are cool, but no one's really, you know. Sorry.
1 minute. My apologies. I came in to do 10. You get another minute. Keep going, guys. Sorry.
There you go. I don't know where I was talking.
So you say that mine doesn't really have an ending. The ending is Robert Fisher finding the pinwheel in the last will and making his decision, the ending of that journey. And then we have Dom, who is able to return home. That is an ending. Just because they have an ambiguous little twisting of the top doesn't mean that you still don't feel satisfied with how it ends, because you're still getting to see where those journeys went. Whether or not that's in the dream world, that's not the point. And the whole point of this whole concept is that we don't know what's real. So you get to go out and you get to talk to your people and you say, did that top drop? Did it not? For years, I don't see people wanting to go back to this. I don't. I think that they would. The movies it tries to mimic are great movies back in the 40s that maybe some people like to go and see. But I can't imagine a lot of people looking at this, seeing this weird, hard-boiled dialogue, these really strange experimental shots that show that it's the first-time director, and say, I want to come back. I love this. Like, I need more. I need more of this. They're not going to.
Again, hard disagree here on a very simple level. I think a lot of people still talk about this movie to this day here of Rian Johnson. So
never heard of it.
Ride hard with Ryan. Hey, now he's interrupting me. A lot of people still ride hard with Rian Johnson to this day here because of this movie. This helped set off Joseph Gordon-Levitt's career as a serious actor here after doing, you know, sitcoms and funny things. This is a world people do want to go back to, because he took 40s dialogue and neo-noir and mixed it in, and it is a concept that shouldn't work that somehow really does, and is why it was on so many top 10 best of lists. And it is a polarizing film, but man, it has this big fan base that people love. Inception isn't a base that people ignore.
Okay. Gave you guys an extra 30 seconds for interrupting you. My apologies once again. JPO, I'm sorry, Tyler. Man, I am losing my mind. Tyler, you get to go first in the closings. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
So like I said about Brick, it's an alienating experience. It's uncomfortable. You don't really know what's going on, and not in a good way, of a mystery way. You just don't care about what's going on because it's just a very awkward movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's in it. He's the main character. He says a lot of really odd things. It's weird relationships with everybody. It doesn't do it for me. I think it's extremely niche for 40s movies, and people that watch these kinds of movies would go back and watch those classics before they come back to Brick. And nobody's heard of Brick. Everybody's heard of Looper. That's where Rian Johnson got his career started. For Inception, it is clever. Every time you watch it, you get lost into the world that they created. The music is exceptional. The scene where he finds the pinwheel that we saw a little bit of crumbs throughout the entire movie, that is emotional catharsis. That makes you happy, even more than seeing that will and seeing him embrace his future. Dom, his whole thing is accepting his wife's death and the guilt that he has over it. And you see how he learns to accept that. And he goes back in limbo to find Saito because he wants to get back to his family, his driving force.
Okay. Bring in Jordan. Jordan, you have 1 minute now when you start talking.
You mentioned nobody's heard of my movie. They've heard of yours. Cool. People have heard of Transformers: The Last Night. That doesn't make your movie better. Niche also doesn't make my movie better or worse. It just means that it has its own fan base. It is a diehard cult classic now because of a reason. There's a reason why after this they gave him a bunch more money to hire even, to big actors in a bigger budget movie here, because they saw what they saw in Brick. This is a unique world that you do go back to, and for the dialogue, it is unique, it is complex, it is interesting and engaging. Nobody goes back to your movie for its dialogue. It goes for a couple cool scenes. Hey, that hallway scene's pretty cool. No denying that. But again, it's within a bubble here. And my movie, it has a satisfactory ending, and you want to go back to this character. I would love to see what this character does later on in life with JGL and Ryan Johnson. That would be wonderful. There's a reason Ryan Johnson's brought back JGL for so many scenes. My movie is very memorable, has an audience. I'm one of the diehards. There's many diehards like me. Inception's Nolan's 10th best.
Oh, that's spicy at the end there.
JPO, do you think the sequel to Brick would be called Bricks?
I hope so. I was mad there was like this German film on Netflix last year called Burch. I was like, ooh, a remake.
I was very confused by that too, yeah. I was like, this can't be the same
sequel
one.
will be called And I'm Drowning.
And I'm Drowning.
Ben Folds 5 reference for all my Folds heads.
I think I saw the Warped Tour once.
Okay. All right, this was interesting. I'm going to peel the Band-Aid off. I went with JPO. I'm actually shocked by this. I thought his closing was really strong. It kind of swung me. I'm not going to lie. Him kind of coming out of the gate in that closing, just being like, yeah, just people have heard of The Last Night. That doesn't make it the better movie. I thought that was a great punch. And I thought that he was able to then back it up and be like, it has a cult following. It's not best known movie. It's just what is the best movie. And I thought that he did enough in the main round to chip away at Inception of just being like, it's kind of, it has the cool concepts and stuff, but it doesn't have what Brick has in the sense of the characters and the dialogue and everything. That worked for me. I think that Tyler did a good job on Inception. I love Inception. I think it's great. But yeah, I was kind of convinced by the end, especially by the closing, that like it is just like, yeah, the hallway fight's cool, but like, okay, but Brick is something different, something really interesting, and a great film overall. So I went with JPO. Kirk. Muted, maybe muted.
Can't really
my
see his face, but-
my microphone is just way up over my head there. It's interesting because I don't love either of these movies. I honestly believe both these movies are pretty overrated. And usually I try when competitors are taking shots, I try to keep my own opinion out of it. I didn't have to do that this time because they kind of canceled out, because I think all of their critiques are legitimate about their opponent's movies. But I think it came down to math. And I ended up going with Tyler because I think it was just about, he had more bullets in his gun. I think, Tyler attacked the meat of JPO's movie, and that was pretty much it. JPO was hitting Tyler with a lot of stuff, and JPO had, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And there was just so much more there for JPO to have to overcome, where I don't necessarily think, he did a bad job. But I think it's just, like I said, it came down to a math problem where Tyler just had a lot more things that JPO had overcome than Tyler had overcome in JPO's movie. And that's the long and short of it.
Fair enough. All right, Adelaide, we're to you. Are we going to the bonus or are we done?
So glad we got LA to this in the first match. I'd have been sad if we didn't get this spot.
I am holding everyone hostage the longer I wait to refill my board. I will say I entirely agree with one of you. I think one of you captured my points perfectly. And I agree with Kirk. I think Tyler absolutely argued this perfectly. I think on top of the more bullets in the gun thing, I think Tyler explained the quantity of positives in his film better. The score and the set pieces, I loved his analogy of Ariadne being Jiminy Cricket to Cobb. I think that is a great way to metaphorically explain I guess more of a simile, like, but the connection and the emotional weight of the scene. And I think that he had a perfect counter shot to Jordan's thing of like, oh, everyone loves Brick because of the dialogue. And one of the first things Tyler says is that it's super off-putting. So that kind of undermines the entirety of Jordan's like opening, which I did think he had really strong points as the argument kept going. But when that's the main hook and Tyler effectively cut the line, I'm like, it's hard to come back from. I think Jordan did a good job fighting, but Tyler just had it sealed for a while.
All right, well, that means your winner is Tyler Burch. Great match. I thought this was fantastic. Good second performance from JPO. And it just goes to show you, this game's a fickle beast. You win some, you lose some. But Tyler, 2-0 this season. We'll see what he can do next. I'm looking forward to it. Adelaide, I want to get final thoughts from you. Thanks for judging. I thought you did great. What do you think?
I will say, I think on paper it's always going to be a little strange. Like, oh, it's 3-1. How close was it? It was two clean sweeps and then 2 split votes. I think Jordan did a really good job. I think getting a clean sweep against Tyler, who again is like, when he speaks, he's very confident despite his very anxious energy. And I think the fact that Jordan was able to come in and effectively like shake him was a really great job. And I do want to see him debate more. I think that there is a scary player in Jordan that will be developed over more matches.
Kirk, what about you? Final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think it's a great match. I love seeing the Tyler's development, just how far he's come, since his rookie season till now. He's really developing like ice water in his veins. He's just got like that. I'm not saying this is negative, just like dead eyes, and it's kind of scary to watch where he's not phased. I think when you look at his first match and how kind of how shaky he got to now where he's just
the anxious energy.
Yeah, where he's kind of reined that in now and has kind of got control over that. That's scary. I think JPO, what I liked out of his performance is, coming in this is his first match against a seasoned competitor, somebody who's not also a rookie and debuting. And I think after the first couple fights where he realized that he wasn't going to be able to just kind of like use his force of personality against Tyler, and he locked in on that third fight and really showed what he can do as a debater. So I hope he comes back. And I think, like Spence said, I think this is somebody who could really come back and really, I think we're looking at 2 people who could really make a big impact in this league down the road. So great outcome, great fight from both players. And I'm excited to see him again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for us today at Fanzone Debate. Thank you to Jordan and Tyler. Thank you to Kirk and Adelaide. Thanks to you for watching if you've made it this far. And thanks to everyone else who makes this show run. Your Marks, your Bryans, your Nicks. We love you. Next week, you're going to see Adelaide's face again because they're playing Brooklyn. They're playing Brooklyn next week. I know we shot that a while ago, but it's coming out. It's coming out next week. So we'll see you next week for Adelaide versus Brooklyn. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline.